What's up YouTube? In today's video I'm going to show you how to do a charging port replacement on an 11 Pro. I'm going to walk you through the whole video. I'm going to focus more on the reassembly portion because that's typically where there tend to be more issues. So if I speed through it through the disassembly phase, I apologize. If you have any questions, be as specific as possible and reach out to me. I'm pretty good at responding. Also, I filmed the entire, I filmed the video as a complete teardown, and I'm just taking clips out of the video to make it into essentially a charging port video. So if it looks weird, like I had my camera and my Face ID out at some point, and that's entirely unnecessary for just a charging port. So if you're wondering, that's why. Just follow along in the order that it's edited. And yeah, if you have any questions, leave a comment. I've already sort of opened up the screen. I've already started with this. You got to have your magnetic mat. You got to have your magnetic mat. But yeah, I bought this phone so I could flip. At some point I'm going to get around to making a video showing you how to do that. But generally, what you're probably going to have to do is just heat up the frame with either a hairdryer or a heat gun of some sort. And do basically what I did. You do obviously want to be careful of your flex cables here. The last thing you want to do is sever one of them. And then we have quite a few plates. So I'm going to speed some of this footage up. But the first thing that you want to disconnect is your battery. So just because the phone is off, there is still electricity running through your board. So as a safety measure, we're going to disconnect our battery first. Then we can disconnect basically everything else. So battery connector is here. And then you have sort of, if you're using the chisel end, you should be good. But there's a little sort of shelf slash safe space. As long as you're not, you really don't need too much force. We're going to take our screen, set it aside. We're going to start removing our charging port, or the rest of the components from the charging port. There are a couple, like we have a tri-wing here, we have another one here, so don't forget about those. Now this bracket has a little hook right here, but if you just push down and then to the right, it'll come up. Loudspeaker. So from here, I just got to warm up the back a little bit, just to remove or to release some of the adhesive. Yeah, so there's some adhesive about right here, some here, not too much. that's our port. All right, now we have our charging port. Put everything back in. Now the first thing that I like to align is my charging port. Usually there is a little sort of, I don't know, there's a lip right on the sort of inside of the charging port, and that's supposed to go in, it's supposed to line up at the base. There we go. From there, I'll put in my 2 screws, and then I'm going to plug in the charging port just to make sure it clips in properly. And you should hear it snap. It should have full movement, or should have proper movement. So if it doesn't, usually what I'll do is I will loosen both of the screws. So this fits fine, but if it doesn't, I'll loosen, then I'll plug it in, and then I'll tighten them. And a lot of the times, you know, once the charging port is in there naturally, you know, then you can tighten it and it'll sort of fit properly. Usually you don't have to do that. So, yeah, in no particular order. So I'm going to call out some of these only because it's not immediately apparent. But we have a tri-wing here, and then our tri-wing here and here. Because Apple just likes to be confusing. And here's where I forget. So then I will bring in this. Okay, so tri-wing goes here. Tri-wing goes here. And we have a couple of standoffs. So you might need to loosen this one. There we go. Then we can come back and tighten that one. Alright, what next? It's the same way this came off, goes back on, or not the same way, obviously the opposite way, but this hook sort of press down and then slide to the left, and then 1 Phillips right there. Next we have our Taptic in our loudspeaker. Phillips, Phillips, standoff, so it goes tri-wing, and there's a longer tri-wing, and then the standoff goes there. If you want to, you can lay some adhesive down. I don't think it's necessary, because once you lay your battery down, it's going to hold this in place. So we're about to start connecting some stuff. The last thing we want to do is have our battery connected. make sure all of these are connected. All right, last but not least, we just got to put on our screen. But before we do that, we're going to install a perimeter gasket. So, same thing with batteries. It's not a bad idea to get an extra one of these. So I try to line it up at the bottom. Make sure it's aligned as best as you can at the bottom, because it's off. If it's off by a little bit here, it's going to be off by quite a bit further. And then I try to guide it along one side or the other. Then I'll smooth it out with my spudger. If you can get them in a 3-layer, it's nice, because the last layer you can pull off right before you install your screen, just so your flexes or nothing gets stuck to the gasket. Yeah, sometimes it can be annoying when something gets stuck to it and then you lift it up and then the whole gasket comes up, so it's nice you just put this on at the last moment. So, before we connect our screen, make sure your battery is disconnected. There we go. So I'm going to test functionality before I put the rest of my plates and screws in. Honestly, you really don't need me for much more. A couple of things I will mention. Just make sure that on more than one occasion I have, screws will fly all over the places, and one will get stuck to the perimeter gasket or the Taptic engine or the loudspeaker or the ear speaker. And if you don't catch it, you can damage the screen when you go to close everything up. So just make sure you don't have any of that. So we can now remove our gasket. So be careful, because sometimes if it doesn't adhere properly, or if it's not a very good gasket, the gasket will come off of the frame. So if that happens, just try to smooth it out with your spudger at the same time. This one was fine. So then we're going to come seat the top. Crunch, crunch. I need to find 2 pentalobes for this. But that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Have a nice day.